Well. Guess what we're gonna play? Guess what we're gonna play? We're gonna play some Glitch Runner. So, actually, why did I put it on slow? And this is a free map. So if you guys want to play, it's free. Download it for free. It is just in the Minecraft store. If you want to play, just play it. Oh god, it's right behind me, isn't it? Those bugs almost murdered me. It is right behind me. I just saw it in the corner of my eye. World stop crumbling. Let's go. Oh god, I woke up. Oh no, wait, that's the song that the world starts crumbling again, right? Oh, shields. Oh, no traps. Traps, nothing on me. Now that I know what's happening, I am taking this way more serious. But it doesn't really make insane yet. Okay, what we gonna do now? We're gonna make a new survival world. Can I stop getting messages from your phone, please, for 1 second? Thank you. Everyone loves it.
Witches and Satanists began using the boards more commonly, it's a safe and common assumption that Ouija boards as we know them today are not as genuine as the ones from 2 centuries ago. The point is you are opening yourself up to the other side. It doesn't matter what channel you're using. If you allow it to be open for communication, you're letting it be open for many other things. These 15 videos are examples of Ouija proof caught on tape. Some are more convincing and more horrifying than others. But every entry has importance in understanding the negative effects of using the spirit board. Let us know of any crazy experiences you've had with the Ouija. Number 15, Mellowbird. This YouTuber is immensely well known in the horror community, and to anyone with a desire to witness the paranormal. Mellowbird has been active on YouTube since about 2009, and although his channel doesn't center around other content, he gained most of his fame through showing off his home. Mellowbird's house is apparently severely haunted. In fact, his channel's about sessions simply poltergeist activity caught on tape. His most popular videos include furniture being thrown around his home, EVP sessions that reveal chilling voices, and of course, Ouija boards. He often uses the Ouija board as a channel for investigating the haunting of his home, and more often than not the results are terrifying. One such of Mellowbird's videos shows a small glass breaking as soon as it makes contact with the board.
Wait. No.
And another video shows the board floating mid-air as Mellowbird rushes to get it on tape. unusual, horrifying evidence such as violently moving objects, disruption in motion sensors and audio recorders, we are also given fire. Towards the end of the video, a small cross placed on the table suddenly bursts into flames. This demonstrates that the spirit or entity haunting Mellowbird's home has some power or control over fire, which could become very dangerous for Mellowbird. This entity could go as far as setting the home on fire or physically harming him. Even stranger and more unsettling is that Mellowbird states, "Do not ever set anything on fire in my home again or I will have you exorcised." And in the rest of his videos there's never another fire, meaning this entity apparently listened to this threat and took it seriously, because it wants to be allowed to remain in the home for whatever reason. Number 14, Ouija turns bad for teenage girl. This video was posted in 2011 and seems to be a follow-up to a previous video in which this group played with the board. The cameraman states, "Last time we did this, people on YouTube said we were doing it wrong." The video shows a group of about 5 or 6 young adults walking to a barn of some sort. They begin to play with the board and hear strange noises from within the building, but brush it off as the wind or perhaps an animal. While they do play with the board and use EMF meters, they mostly seem skeptical and even a little annoyed. Despite clear contact with an entity, they ask the spirit to make a noise and a loud bang can be heard in the distance, but again they brush it off as coincidence. The meter begins to go wild, showing a presence and even buzzing. Several more sounds are delivered after a request from the group, and one girl claims to feel footsteps on her back. The group makes the decision to leave the barn as they're becoming frightened and aren't sure if someone is messing with them. They walk out and clearly state they need to be careful since they're technically trespassing. Shortly after, they're caught by a man with a flashlight that asks what they're doing and chases them down. One girl from the group, Sarah, is nowhere to be found shortly after. While the person that caught them and their friend missing are easily explainable in normal events, the activity seen in the barn is pretty chilling and hard to fake. Number 13, Tanner Fox. This video posted by Tanner.
Waarom kiezen voor Almo Nature? Om jouw huisdier kwalitatief voedsel te geven en deel te nemen aan een belangrijke missie. 100% van de winst van Almo Nature gaat naar Fondazione Capellino, die dit gebruikt om de natuur te beschermen. We zijn allemaal te gast op aarde. We zijn slechts één van de vele soorten. Maar we zijn verantwoordelijk voor de toekomst van allen.
Tanner Fox in early October 2016 seems to be part of some challenge where famous YouTubers play the Ouija board just for fun. Most of the videos posted by bigger YouTubers were either entirely fake or pretty boring. This one is kind of interesting. While Tanner and his group of friends play with the board, they allegedly make contact with the spirit of a 5-year-old girl who shares her name and a few details about her death. One person in the group Googles the information to check accuracy. From her cause of death to the name of her mother, the spirit seems to be accurate. The spirit of this child was apparently killed by her mother. When asked why her mother killed her, she said she was sad. According to the article, her mother was on antidepressants and her murder may have been related to those mental issues. She continues to ask questions related to random facts found on the internet, and the spirit continues to get them right. The group later makes contact with another entity which apparently knows details about their friend Elizabeth. She is overcome with emotion as the spirit shares details that only her close friends or family would know, and she begins to cry.
Wait, who were we just speaking to? I'm sorry to tear up, I'm so scared. Was that Lindsay's grandma? Grandma? Oh my god. Oh my god.
By the end of their game, the whole group seems shaken up, with each
What was that?
cry.
Wait. Who were we just speaking to? Bro, I'm sorry to tear up, I'm so scared. Was that Lindsay's grandma?
The family would know, and she begins to cry.
Wait. Who were we just speaking to? Bro, I'm sorry to tear up, I'm so scared. Was that Lindsay's grandma?
That is scary as. frick.
By the end of the game, the whole group seems shaken up, with each person responding differently. If you don't believe in the paranormal, it's pretty intense to see what emotional and psychological effects this allegedly innocent game can have on those that participate. Number 12, Brennan Taylor.
This is a good place to make like a house.
Box video. During the same period, a bigger YouTubers put on the board. This video is also a pretty interesting one, not only because of how the group reacts, but because they allegedly make contact with the notorious Zozo. This demon has been documented since the early 1800s with sightings and experiences. However, contact with Zozo has become more common since people began using the Ouija board recreationally. Thus, Zozo has become known as the Ouija demon. After making the contact, the group tells the spirit goodbye and discuss that Zozo may come back for one of them later on, as it's common when contacting Zozo to be followed outside of the game. Brennan Taylor took a video on his cell phone of him at home later that night, where random banging can be heard throughout his home and he's clearly terrified. He goes back to sleep and ignores the situation. The next morning, he finds that a box has been thrown off his dining room table onto the floor. This was clearly what made the loud bang the night before, but it's uncertain how the box was moved. His dog seems to react strangely to the box as well. He sniffs at the box and stares at Brennan as if confused. While this wasn't solid evidence for Zozo or any other entities, it can be pretty unsettling if you imagine something like this happening in the middle of the night after playing with something as dangerous as the Ouija board. Number 11, Nosebleed. This video shows two young boys playing the Ouija board in a living room. They ask simple questions and the answers they received are unsettling but nothing too horrifying. At some point we'll ask
Back.
They hear a noise behind them and a large bowl or basket flies off the living room table. Freak out.
I really want to stream snap my friend again.
Run from the board while flipping it over.
No, I'm not doing this, no.
Many commenters have of course pointed out that this was a major problem because you're never supposed to leave a Ouija board without saying goodbye. Of course, the two young boys later came back to the board though and continued to play. Before the pair are even able to ask another question, the boy facing away from the camera feels something on his face and turns to expose that his nose had just begun bleeding. Just as he turns back to his friend, the Ouija board flies off the small table they were using.
Oh no. I didn't believe in Ouija boards or any of that until now. This is the 13th time we've tried it. All the other 12 times we did this, nothing happened.
Shortly after, he comes back on camera to warn that he never believed in Ouija boards and did this originally as a joke, but that the board should not be messed with. Number 10, Shaking Chandelier. This video was posted on Facebook in August 2011 by...
Stuck at home? Make the
But it
most of the
wasn't
internet with
Baby Pig. I thought it was
trying out new apps to save you from boredom.
something else.
Make sure that your data is always protected. And you can still travel. Well, virtually. By connecting to VPN servers in almost...
by a young girl in Norway. The creepy video received about 4,000 shares as well as over 100,000 views on a YouTube upload. Two teen girls are sitting at a dining room table with their fingers on a homemade Ouija board. The board is drawn in more of a circular pattern, which is not unusual with homemade or makeshift boards. The girls are of course speaking Norwegian or some similar language, so I can't determine what's being said, but they begin to ask questions and the quarter, or planchette, responds immediately. They remove their hands from the board, a little scared and uneasy. The blonde girl to the right pours herself a glass of soda as they quickly converse. As soon as she sits her glass down and attempts to return to the board, the glass glides over the table quickly, almost falling off.
Si 식탐을 보다요?
Everyone is understandably shocked. They walk around and talk things over while visibly emotionally affected. Eventually, they all come back to place and continue their game, using the creepy event to fuel the energy. They don't play for much longer before stopping to fearfully discuss the game. Eventually, they hear a slight tap and the chandelier hanging above the table begins to shake violently. The girls scream and run to another room. Number 9, Clear Control. This video was posted by Dorset Ghost in July 2015. The description explains that during investigation, things began to go horribly wrong and one of the crew members became apparently possessed. This particular upload begins in the middle of the investigation with one member saying, "We don't want you to harm us, please spell out your name." The camera begins to automatically move, although it's unclear whether it moves due to the wind or more paranormal reasons. The investigator to the right is becoming more and more unsettled as his breathing increases and he appears to shake and twitch slightly. The camera is knocked over and when footage resumes, the investigators have switched sides. As the investigator's hand is still on the planchette piece, he instructs that the entity leave this realm. Several lights are then disabled and the piece begins to swirl around the board with strength.
Please leave this realm.
You really shouldn't watch these videos, or else you might see something so scary you'll wish you never saw it. Number 5, a YouTuber named D-Dog Vlogs has been uploading since mid-2016 and specializes in exploring haunted places that are about as scary as they come, with a preference for historic locations whenever possible. He has been known to pair up with the likes of Mo Sargi and others in an effort to push his paranormal investigations to greater lengths and solidify his place in the YouTube ghost hunting community. On January 20th of 2020, he heads to a single-story home that is rumored to hold secrets so terrible that no one in the community wanted to share any details aside from a basic address. Curious, he heads to the site with fellow ghost hunters, Tay and Carlo, to see for themselves what this house holds. The first thing they notice is a glowing yellow light that flickers oddly over a door that's bolted shut. It's one of the only working lights left in the house, and it's shining like a beacon to get their attention.
But look at that room. That's creepy.
But more on that in a moment. For now, watch how the camera goes out of focus like something or someone invisible is standing right in front of them. It happens again here at exactly 3 minutes, and ironically goes on until he's finished asking people to comment if they see anything.
Yeah, I don't know if these places are haunted or not, so comment down below if you guys see or hear anything. I'm not saying they're haunted, I'm just not sure.
After some more exploring, they return to this mysterious locked door. Marks where it had been repeatedly drilled shut with a padlock. Something incredibly strong must have been in here at one point, and the family must have been intent on keeping it contained. Yet when they open the door, they are surprised to find a colorful race car border above. This is a kid's room of all places. They suspect that a child was locked in here for long periods of time. And I think the evidence proves that much is true. Perhaps they were even kept here well into adulthood, might I add. Furthermore, they seem to think this section of the door was either struck or clawed out over time, possibly after an extended period of isolation, which would require immense strength. I think it could simply be termite damage, but you tell me. So I want to know why you think the child was locked in here. It could have been evil parents or behavioral problems. The extent to which they had to go in order to keep the child contained seems to indicate an extreme psychological state. That would require them to be on alert at all times. Their child probably needed to be kept away from sharp objects and locked in at night so that they don't do something drastic to themselves or to their parents while they slept. On the contrary, maybe that's not the case at all. The child had evil, disturbed parents who did this for no reason. D-Dog explores a different abandoned house 2 months later on March 28th, and this investigation gets so crazy that I need your help to figure out if it's real. Is this red paint, or is it what I think it is? I really hope not.
That's so much.
At 2 minutes and 10 seconds, it kind of looks like somebody got jabbed in the corner, stumbled a few steps forward to the center of the room, and then went to the doorway. Then they doubled back, still leaking, and probably crumpled in this corner where the trail ends. Or maybe that's where they were put by someone else. Tiny red splotches leading upstairs gives me the impression that more than one person was here. This red substance has dried against the wall and hardly looks reassuring. And sadly, in the corner of this upstairs room is more evidence. But creepiest of all, even more so than what's on the wall or on the floor, is what's in this small unassuming corner, or rather what happens when they go near. This is the only part of the video that becomes blurry, and for no reason at all. It's as if something is trying to get their attention, and perhaps figuring out for the first time that it's not on the other side. Now you're probably wondering where the homeowners were, and so was I. In the basement flooded with solid ice. I think we both know the answer. Number 4. This worrisome video I'm about to show you was posted on March 18, 2017 by a person who had been teetering on the edge of self-destruction for years.
More of this. Skip.
I don't know what else to say. Except goodbye.
You'll never guess what he does next, but first let me tell you what he has been through. His psychological torment would begin in early 2015, approximately 2 years before his final goodbye. That was when someone began knocking at his door almost every night for days. He lives all alone, a very private person, so introverted in fact that we never learned his name. For him to have a visitor is not normal, let alone in the middle of the night. The knocks were annoying at first, but he figured it would stop if he ignored it. But when that didn't work, he decided to start documenting everything early on, in case he needed to take it to the police or something later. He also decided to confront it and defend himself if need be. This incident taken on February 12, 2015, starting
Ik ga
two
je even
knocks that
omkleden.
he saw.
Dus als je zo gaat, dan had ik gevochten drinken van oma.